All right, so next week, the House is scheduled to vote on HR8, the universal background check bill that was introduced in Congress, already cleared a committee. And there's a lot of lobbying in the court of public opinion right now for this vote. We've talked again about the issues with this bill. I saw a tweet earlier today, I think it was from a reporter at Roll Call, who talked about how this bill ensures that there will be background checks performed for every sale of a firearm. It does nothing of the sort. It cannot ensure that there is a background check for every transfer of a firearm. It requires that a background check be performed for every transfer of a firearm. But not one single sponsor could tell you honestly how this legislation is going to ensure that that takes place. We also know from these supporters of this legislation that they plan on dealing with any violations of this law the same way they deal with, any problems right now that comes up with individuals who lie on a 4473 or things of that nature. Now, it's a completely different issue to try to figure out, okay, who engaged in a private transfer of a firearm, right? Who actually did that because they didn't go to the gun store. By its very nature, they didn't go to the gun store. So how on earth are you going to figure this out in the first place? They can't tell you that. But even if, let's say even if somehow they could, we know that over the past few years, for every, there was a study done, I forget the years here, but I think it was like a 4-year period, 500,000 denials. And of those 500,000 denials through the NICS system, 254 were even considered for prosecution. So the actual prosecution rate for violating, for lying on your 4473, for being a prohibited person and trying to buy a gun, the actual consideration of a prosecution rate was 0%, 0.04% to be precise. Again, this is not a bill that addresses public safety. This is a bill that addresses public relations for the gun control lobby. That's it. But the disarmament lobby is all on board with this. They see this as a big, chance to advance their agenda. And the gun control group Giffords has enlisted more than a dozen top retired military commanders, according to a roll call, leaders and advisors whose careers span both Republican and Democratic administrations, to throwing their weight behind HR8. The military advisors wrote, a prohibited person with dangerous intent can easily buy a gun over the internet or in a parking lot with no questions asked. Again, how does this bill stop that? How does this bill stop that? Let's say, again, there might be a requirement that you can't do it. But how does this bill prevent that from taking place? Not one of those military commanders could tell us if we had an opportunity to ask them.